Hurricane Aaron has undergone significant changes today, and two more tropical waves are likely to develop later this week. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We are your home for Caribbean weather. It's nice to see you on this Tuesday. I hope you're doing well. Coming up in this video, all the newest information on Hurricane Aaron. We'll look at what's happening with the storm right now, the latest models, where it's going, the impacts we expect in the coming days, more tropical activity for our area later this week. And for my friends in the Caribbean, I've got your island by island rainfall forecast as well. Jam-packed video, let's get started. Meteo Mundo, sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorney. Storm moves into your area, get damage of any kind, wind, hail, hurricane. They'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. Go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. As always, as we move along this video, you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. I'm happy to answer that. Always love to hear from the MM community. Let me know what's been happening in your area weather-wise, what's been going on, especially been impacted by this storm. Now, we've seen Aaron go under some significant changes in the last 24 hours. The first thing you'll note is that Aaron fought dry air late yesterday and early today. It's beginning to overcome that drier air, but when I show you the water vapor imagery at the lower levels, you can clearly see drier air got ingested on the northwest side of this storm. Aaron just got so big that it started pulling in some drier air to the north and to the west, and the storm right now is very lopsided. Winds have actually come back down to 105 mile-an-hour sustained winds. So Aaron has gone from a Category 4 down to a Category 2. I wish I could tell you that appreciably that's going to change the impacts that we expect in the Western Atlantic Basin, but because we never expected the hurricane-force winds to move inland, the storm is still as large as it was. Despite the fact that Aaron has dropped the maximum wind intensity, we're still expecting about the same impacts or even greater impacts from this time yesterday. This buoy on the northeast side of Aaron is kind of holding on for dear life right now. This buoy has had some wind gusts of over 70 miles an hour, and you can clearly see that Aaron is beginning to get deeper convection near that center. The moisture field is beginning to expand back to the north and to the west, and I believe that Aaron will teeter on high-end Category 2 or low-end Category 3 strength over the next 24 hours. Even though this drier air knocked Aaron down a bit, it's not going to completely obliterate the storm. And again, as far as the overall structure of the storm, it took a hit in the last 24 hours, but there's some really deep convection beginning to wrap back on the western side. This is the latest recon data from Aaron, the latest hurricane reconnaissance aircraft that came through. All the purple that you see are hurricane force winds at flight level. I do want you to notice that the hurricane reconnaissance aircraft outside of the, just outside the inner eye wall of Aaron on the western side, there were no other hurricane force winds reported at flight level. So at this point in time, the wind field is very lopsided to have the strongest winds on the eastern side, which of course is still fantastic news for our friends in the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. And that's what I want to start off with this video. Now, the first thing that we have to talk about is what's going on with this track, okay? The track continues to be within that cone that the Hurricane Center has put out the last several days. It's now moving north-northwest at 10 miles an hour or 330 degrees on the compass, basically down the center line from this cone of uncertainty. If you've seen anywhere that this system is turning west and headed towards Florida, it is simply not the case. Aaron at latitude right now is actually slightly north of the Miami area, and all appears to be on track for this continuing to curve in between North Carolina and Bermuda as we get into late Wednesday and on Thursday. And I'll have more on that coming up, but we haven't seen any big deviations from the track, and it's turning even more north than what it had been over the last 24 hours. Now, we're still getting tropical storm conditions from time to time in the central southeast Bahamas, Turks and Caicos. The watches and warnings have been allowed to expire, but you can see the wind gusts in miles an hour here on your screen. And again, from the San Salvador area, we're still getting gusts of around 40. We've had some heavier rainfall. This has led to some localized flooding from time to time. And I really do want to hear from my friends in the southeast Bahamas and Turks and Caicos how you guys have managed, because it has been a very squally last 48 hours, and we've had some heavier rain and storms. Look at the storms right over the Mayaguana area earlier in the day. That can produce 3 and 4 inch per hour rainfall rates. You can get quick flooding in some areas when you get that deeper convection coming in on some of those outer feeder bands. Some of this activity has spun all the way as far north as the Eleuthera area towards Andros and Nassau, New Providence. Again, you get a little bit farther east, Cat Island, San Salvador, Rum Key, Long Island, Exuma down towards the Acklands. More persistent, gustier winds, not tropical storm, sustained winds, but there will be some gusts of the low end tropical variety. And we could still spin in on the northwest side a few thunderstorms and some squally weather even towards the Abacos, Walker's Key, and Grand Bahama. But again, the northwest side is the weakest side of Aaron with the drier air. So for our northern Bahama friends, things are looking relatively good for you. This is a picture I got today from Karen. This is on the Atlantic side of Long Island. So the eastern side of the island exposed to the open waters of the Atlantic. And look at these breakers, easily 5 to 8 foot breakers. Now look, every island, the shoreline is different and the breakers are completely different, but very rough sea conditions. Obviously there should be no swimming going on and all small craft should be in port and in sheltered locations. So that is the east side of Long Island. You guys know we have our live cameras here at Meteo Mundo. This is a live look at Long Island on the western side. You're not going to see the breakers here on the western side, but obviously the overcast skies and the breezy conditions. So again, eastern side of Long Island, the breakers, the western side of Long Island from our live camera looking off to the west. Not nearly as much churned up water, but again, squally weather, the overcast conditions, and look at this shot from central Eleuthera, Governor's Harbor. Again, the water piling up in some of these inlets and bays, and clearly, again, whitecaps, the breezy conditions, and the quick moving showers with a few embedded thunderstorms even as far north as central Eleuthera at the hour. When we look at the overall potential track of Aaron, again, all appears to be, what the Hurricane Center has talked about the last several days and the models have been showing. There hasn't been really any change. Aaron is likely to go right in between the weakness in between these two areas of high pressure. This trough should block Aaron from making a direct landfall to the New England coastline of the United States or even eastern Canada, should push it back into the open waters of the North Atlantic as it gets into cooler water and begins to dissipate. Now, we do have some tropical storm warnings to talk about for the United States East Coast from the Beaufort Inlet area to Duck, North Carolina. That is going to be the OBX area, the Outer Banks there of North Carolina. Then from Duck North to Cape Charles, Light, Virginia, there is a tropical storm watch. Again, tropical storm warning means tropical storm conditions are likely. Tropical storm watch means tropical storm conditions could occur in those areas. So now we kind of get into what's going to be happening from here. And again, it's very clear to see, if we pause this real quickly here, let me just bring this back out. Aaron is beginning to elongate itself. And yes, there is that area in orange that we'll get into in a second. I'm just going to drop that real quickly, bring up the spatial tool here, which is basically my distance arrow, and just show you guys that from the northern convection here, I might have to even zoom this out on my map here, from the northern convection all the way back down to where we still have a few thunderstorms here, you're looking at 900 miles. Now, it's not completely fully attached at this point in time, but you get the idea. But from kind of here to here, you still even have about 700 miles. Aaron is a massively large hurricane. And despite the fact, and thankfully, that we don't expect the tropical storm conditions to the hurricane conditions to go into any inland areas, the massive expansive wind fields are going to brush tropical storm conditions along the North Carolina coastline and potentially Bermuda as we get into late Wednesday night and early on Thursday. So it's the expanding wind fields that'll be some of the biggest stories. But let's be clear, Aaron could still be a high-end Category 2 hurricane as it moves between North Carolina and Bermuda over the next 48 hours. So let's break down kind of what's happening. I'm going to go back here real quickly first. Look at the European model just 1 second. I'm going to bring up the GFS model first. I'm going to wipe away some of those. By the way, just real quickly, because I have them on here, this is my computer's forecast wind radii. I want to be clear how close it brushes are your light blues, your tropical storm force sustained winds to the North Carolina coastline and portions of Bermuda. It is going to be kind of a razor thin margin on both areas. Now, Bermuda does not have tropical storm watches or warnings that are currently in effect. There is the opportunity or the potential that down the road they could, but at this point in time, they don't. So we hope to not see sustained tropical storm conditions in Bermuda. We are likely to get, at least for a time, tropical storm conditions along the coastline of North Carolina. But the GFS model, again, has Aaron in that cone of uncertainty, bending to the north and to the east as it begins to pull away, but such a large storm, right? hundreds and hundreds of miles wide, 700 miles wide. Tropical storm force winds right now already extend 230 miles east of the center and more than 100 miles west, and that wind field is likely to expand. So even though Aaron is more than likely going to get very close to going right in between, I mean virtually in between Bermuda and North Carolina, both areas could still see tropical storm conditions. Potentially it nudges a little bit closer to the North Carolina coastline compared to Bermuda, but again, the wind fields are more expansive on the eastern side of the storm. So even a wobble west isn't the worst news for North Carolina, and certainly better news for Bermuda. So this is what it looks like on the European model pressure chart. Again, we have this nice kind of splitting the difference between North Carolina and Bermuda. Even the far western ensembles brush the coastline of North Carolina towards the Delmarva Peninsula, but it would be a brush at worst. The HAFS-A model for Thursday morning has a center of Aaron 160 miles from the Outer Banks. That is still enough of a breath here, enough of a buffer, where again, hurricane conditions would not be on shore. Your tropical storm force sustained winds go as far out as the areas in brown. So the HAFS-A model is very close to bringing the sustained winds to the Outer Banks, places like Kitty Hawk and Duck and other areas of OBX. But notice again, it is a lopsided storm. The expansive wind field east is about double from the center from areas to the west. So that's why, it's important to keep, Bermuda a little bit farther west, because that wind field could be 250, maybe even 300 miles from the center of sustained tropical storm conditions. It's unbelievable how large Aaron is expected to get. And that's one reason why the entire Western Atlantic Basin's sea conditions are going to be outrageously churned up. You are looking at up to 50 plus foot waves that come with Aaron, and a very wide swath. I mean, hundreds, if not more than 1,000 miles wide, of seeing double-digit wave heights that will run from the east coast of Florida right on up to the New England coastline of the United States and the western sides of Bermuda. This is a slower animation of that. And again, these are significant wave heights with rogue waves that could be even double this, but you are pushing on the opportunity of maybe 20 to 25 foot waves from time to time along coastal North Carolina, near the Delmarva Peninsula, even up towards the Long Island Sound, and maybe even Cape Cod gets a little bit of wraparound as Aaron begins to pull away. But the rough seas, the surf, the inundation of water in some areas is actually going to be the primary story. Look, unfortunately, there were a lot of water rescues and some fatalities reported on the beaches of North Carolina just yesterday. We don't want to see that, okay? We already have some issues with that, and the surf conditions are only going to get worse as Aaron gets a little bit closer. So breaking this down for Bermuda in North Carolina. For Bermuda, North Carolina, late Wednesday, Thursday. For Bermuda, sustained winds of 25 to 35, maybe gusts up to 50. The winds will be stronger in North Carolina, sustained winds 40 to 45, gusts that could go over 60. Extremely large waves and dangerously high surf. Rainfall totals 4 to 6 inches, but some areas could get more than 8, and that could lead to some localized flooding. And there is a storm surge of 2 to 4 feet expected along the North Carolina coastline. There have been some mandatory evacuations and inundation of water along some of the coastline with the surf and the storm surge and the higher than normal tides all coming together could lead to some flooding problems in those areas. Friends, as we move on, I appreciate you guys taking a quick second, hitting that like button for me right now. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Come join a fantastic weather community. Thank you for sharing this channel with your family and friends, and I appreciate all those who find other ways to support the channel. The memberships, that's the join button. We have 2 different tiers, one just 99 cents a month, one $2.99 a month, and I appreciate all those who find the super thanks as well. Now look, I haven't forgotten you guys in the Leeward Islands and Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. 99% of us got out of this relatively unscathed, but not everyone. This is some video that Ramona sent me in from Virgin Gorda in the British Virgin Islands, and you can see the massive flooding. Now look, all of our Caribbean islands are different. Some are small and flat, some are large and mountainous, and Virgin Gorda is one of those islands where they have a lot of terrain in a relatively small island, and so this water can really funnel down quickly into the lower areas, and you can see how fast this water is moving. I know the timestamp is wrong, but Ramona told me that once they lost power, the timestamp reset to the initial install time, and she promises me that this is the video from when Aaron moved through, and I've seen other video and pictures that kind of corroborate this kind of flooding going on in Virgin Gorda. They had more than 8 inches of rain. The Dominican Republic and Haiti, Hispaniola in general, also had some significant flooding in some areas. So if you were a part of that, let us know how you guys are doing for today. Now, the interesting thing is that some of the moisture blow off from Aaron has funneled back into the windward passage there, back towards Jamaica, and still seeing some scattered showers and storms over the Dominican Republic and Haiti for today. It's been a relatively overcast day in Jamaica. We're beginning to get a couple of thunderstorms developing here. The atmosphere is very moisture laden. We get a little bit of lift in the atmosphere, and we're going to squeeze out some rain over Jamaica as we move through the remainder of this later Tuesday. Scattered showers could still develop on the far flank. There's still a little bit of moisture dripping back in to Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, mainly just some cloud coverage, but could there be a spell of a little bit of shower activity? Not out of the question. Our friends in the Lesser Antilles for today look pretty good. You get down towards Trinidad, noting a couple of thunderstorms developing there, just west from Port of Spain, west to the western coastline, then pushing away. So Nueva Esparta could get a couple of showers. It's been a beautiful day in the ABC Islands for today. Back out to the broad perspective here. Again, relatively tranquil conditions in the Northwest Caribbean. We're going to see some thunderstorms developing in the Yucatan, but they'll be more isolated, but still locally heavy downpours and a lot of lightning. Not expecting a lot of rain and storms for today for my friends in Belize and the Bay Islands. You can see some of the thicker cloud coverage. Few thunderstorms inland in Belize for today. Can't rule out a couple of blustery showers over the Bay Islands, but you know, the big story has really been the heat there. And you can clearly see on this visible satellite imagery, again, just that kind of blow off of some of the moisture here from Aaron. Now, again, down the road, just back over to our friends in Bermuda real quickly, you know, thunderstorms are still to your south and west, but some of that moisture laden air is beginning to move up, and you know, that will be the next opportunity for some showers and storms in this area. As you guys know, we have other live cameras across the Caribbean. So again, it's been a little bit cloudy today in Corinth, St. Lucia, but it's been a lovely day with not a lot of breeze. And here is just a chef's kiss shot again from Oranjestad, Aruba. Love that aqua there right along the coastal waters. Bit more breeze for today, but there haven't been significant gusts. But, you know, from time to time, we've had some 25 and 30 mile an hour breezes. All right, let's get into the tropics. Now we're going to deep dive into what else is going to be happening in our area for the week ahead. So Aaron, again, keeping a very close eye on the next 48 to 72 hours. There are two more tropical waves to talk about. The one that is beginning to get closer to us right now still hasn't been named an invest. It is fighting drier air just like Aaron has, and it's kind of been sheared out a little bit where you can see the elongation of the moisture from southwest to northeast. So the great news with this system, this disturbance, is that over the last 24 hours, it really hasn't gotten any more organized. Hurricane Center still has a medium chance of development. The other big thing is, notice now it's pointed a lot farther north and west than what it was this time yesterday. This time yesterday, even as far south as Barbados, was close to the potential area development, which is what that orange area shows you. Again, the Hurricane Center doesn't expect it to develop right now, but down the road into the orange area, it could, but it's trying to take a farther north latitude track, much like Aaron did. So now when you look at this, it's almost kind of just brushing the northern Leeward Islands. And again, that would be on the weaker southern side. So even if this does develop, hopefully, right, it begins to pull away and recurve even before the Lesser Antilles. It's something I'll keep a very close eye on, but this could develop, this could become Ferdinand, the sixth named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season, or this one, which looks even healthier and actually is the newest invest, 99L. So it's the one that just emerged off the West African coastline that actually has become Invest 99L. The one farther off to the west isn't even an invest at this point in time. This one could be a little bit scarier down the road. First of all, you can see that point is a little bit south of north here in latitude. When I bring on because this is an invest, so we are now running our spaghetti tropical models, you can clearly see the lower latitude track of this one. Again, the area in orange won't have the tropical models running it because it's not an invest, but down the road, you can clearly see a much lower latitude potential track with Invest 99L. So that is one as we get towards the weekend and early next week to really keep a very close eye on, but this could end up becoming something here in the next 24 to 48 hours. You can clearly see that the Hurricane Center even has that yellow area. Still low end chance, but I think this is going to get to a moderate chance tomorrow and just build from there. And, you know, the models are picking up on this one becoming a storm. Is it the next storm or is it this one? Only time will tell. But we could have 2 more named storms here in the next 5 days or so outside of Aaron. But it's the second one that I'm most concerned about because of the potential lower latitude track. So let me show you this on the GFS model, then we'll look at the European model as well. So let's bring that up and let's bring it out. Today is the 19th. We'll just go out a week. You know, we don't have to get crazy with this. We'll look at, first of all, what the orange area is doing, and then we'll look at the lower latitude storm. So on the GFS model, you know, it might take 1 second here, and let me make sure I actually get the model timeline on for you guys. Left-hand side of your screen, you'll see that. So here we go with the first one. Again, regardless of development, we're going to start to see some heavier rainfall move back into the Northeast Caribbean. So some of the same areas that got hit with some heavy rainfall with Aaron will have to get prepared beginning as early as Friday for more heavy rain and squally weather to come back in. Again, regardless of this developing and wrapping up, you can see from kind of like the Guadalupe area, north, and even maybe as far south as St. Lucia, rain chances start to go high. So Antigua, Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, on over towards Saba, St. Eustatius, St. Bart's, St. Martin, the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, all will start to see elevated rain chances beginning on Friday as that disturbance moves through. Again, regardless of actual tropical development, but there's at least a chance. And the GFS model does keep it relatively weak and ragged, pushing some of that moisture as far to the north and to the west. Sorry about that. Going a little bit too far for you guys here, as the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and even towards Jamaica. As we get towards early next week, some of this moisture, if it stays kind of a elongated, sloppy system, could move back into those areas and even to Turks and Caicos in the southeast Bahamas. So that's the first one. And then down the road, the second one looks like this. So, you know, on the GFS model, you just still kind of see a pretty sloppy system. Nothing has really fully ramped up with it here. We'll have to keep an eye out if it holds together, if it encounters some drier air. But, you know, that's that lower latitude one here. Now, again, does it look extremely impressive on the GFS model at this point in time? No. But these are very emerging systems, and these models have a really tough time before you get a true center of circulation developed to really have any true, thought about that this model is really, holding on to something that is worthy of consideration as far as that goes. So when we look at the European model, obviously that's Aaron, and if you look down the road, you're going to see the area in orange, and then you're going to see the area in yellow as we get into the weekend. So the European model does have, again, in the Western Atlantic, potential development, and then with the secondary system emerging on Sunday, maybe some development, but much farther south of latitude. So if that one were to develop, again, that one is more likely to get into the Caribbean and would bear much more immediate attention, as it would be obviously directly impacting some of our islands potentially by the end of the weekend and early next week. So this is your island by island rainfall forecast. Again, the Bahamas, especially the Northwest Bahamas, still squally weather through tomorrow. And then we begin to dry out. The north winds coming in behind Aaron will actually knock things down. Then late in the week, we start to see improving rain chances, building back up in Turks and Caicos to a 40% chance on Friday. Cuba's rain chances stay relatively high. Cayman Islands rain chances are kind of back and forth, a little bit higher chance on Thursday at 50%. Belize City will see more isolated rain than anything else and a few more scattered showers and storms on Friday, but still their highest chance is 40. Still expecting daily showers and storms across the Yucatan, so Cancun and Cozumel, with a 40% chance. Jamaica's rain chances kind of bobble back and forth. Again, some locally heavy rainfall from time to time, a 30 to a 40% chance. After a drier couple of days in the Dominican Republic, we'll build back our rain chances starting on Friday at 50%. And same situation for Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. We do dry out a bit the next couple of days, but it's short term because on Friday we'll start to see the moisture coming in with that next disturbance, up to a 60% chance on Friday. Bermuda's rain chances will obviously go higher with the passing of Aaron, and even on the southern side and behind the storm on Friday, rain chances in Bermuda will be high, locally heavy rainfall. Obviously, boating conditions will be extremely hazardous. Check in with the local government and officials, but obviously staying on shore is the idea. St. Kitts and Nevis, higher rain chances starting on Thursday. Same thing for Antigua and Barbuda. You go from basically a dry day tomorrow there to up to a 70% chance Thursday and Friday. Montserrat builds in late Thursday and Friday as well, and that's the whole situation across the Lesser Antilles. After a relatively dry Wednesday, rain chances improve, especially in the northern islands. You get down to St. Lucia and the SVG area, you get around a 50% chance. Still could see some locally heavy rainfall, but once again, this first system looks to miss places like St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Barbados and Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago to the north. You'll get some tropical moisture coming back in, but not as concentrated. Suriname and Guyana's rain chances will be pretty good. Nueva Esparta with a few isolated showers, and the ABC Islands still expecting fairly dry conditions through our Friday. So rainfall totals again, they're very heavy, but even the brunt of the heaviest rain misses the eastern coast of the United States and Bermuda. But that's the more than 12 inches of rain. Still could see locally up to 8 inches across coastal North Carolina, maybe up to 6 across Bermuda. Still could get some pockets of heavier rain on the southern sides of Central America. You can see that the European model drives that system north. That's what we want it to do. But then down the road into early next week, you can see the higher rain totals begin to emerge with the more southern latitude tropical wave, which is more than likely going to have a higher chance of development anyway. That one could be Ferdinand. Remember, it's already an invest. Friends, I appreciate you guys. You can follow us across all social media. We have an Instagram page. We're on TikTok, where from time to time we do some exclusive content. We have an X page. You can find us on Facebook as well. And as always, you want to help tell the weather story in your area. The best way to do so is send me an email with a picture or video, myMediaMundo@gmail.com. As always, you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. And please remember that Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. Storm comes through your area, wind, hail, hurricane damage, heck, you even have a burst pipe. They'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. You got nothing to lose. Go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. Again, Aaron is a Category 2 hurricane. All is right with the track. We'll monitor the situation for you guys. Extremely rough surf and sea conditions. Still could see some tropical storm conditions for a brief time in the southeast Bahamas, Turks and Caicos. We're going to see the elevated seas head towards North Carolina and Bermuda, and down the road in the Atlantic Basin, 2 potential tropical development areas. It's the one off the West African coast with the lower latitude potential track that really bears watching this weekend and into early next week. Friends, I appreciate you watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Have a great rest of your day. And I'm back tomorrow with the latest forecast right here at Meteo Mundo.